Okay.
Do you know what that song
Yeah.
is? You know like what moment that song is playing?
In the office?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, when though?
I don't know.
You thought you could sneak that one by me.
It's Andy.
Yes.
Yeah. He's
Yeah,
like dancing.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
when they go to the roller rink.
Oh, yeah.
And
yeah.
he's like,
And Dwight goes to the strip club.
what does he say? He says Dave Matthews Band and no top hits or
yeah,
like
and
no
he's
hits.
like, I said no top hits.
He's like, I said no hits. And he's like, never mind. Leave it.
Yeah. All right, you ready?
Yeah. Yeah, let's go.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like, didn't we already start? Or?
Oh, I guess, but whatever. All right, anyway, I guess we started.
Let's
Hey,
go.
everybody, what's up?
What's good?
Grown Up Kids, back for another episode.
Come on now, let's go.
Switching up
fun.
our location on you guys again.
Yes, yeah.
But also, we're back where we started.
Back where
but
we started.
still not in the same place.
I feel like that's a song, yeah? Back where we started.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that does sound, it sounds so familiar.
Oh, crap.
Back where we started.
Hold on. I know it. Okay, anyway, it doesn't matter.
Okay, all right.
No. I have to.
Well, I was confused
Wait,
why you were
right?
looking on Instagram for a song.
Because I used it. Gotta get it right back to where we started
you're
from.
right. Okay, there we go.
Oh, gosh, that's going to bother me. All right, anyway.
Ooh, nice. That was good.
It played when I left the Guardians of the Galaxy ride at Disney World when I went in summer 2023.
Okay.
And then I loved it so much, which I already knew the song, but like it wasn't one I consistently listened to.
Yeah.
But then I was like, I love this song.
Yeah,
I forgot.
sometimes you've like heard a song numerous times in your life, and then all of a sudden you hear it in a certain context and it slaps.
Right. It was like Ingrid and I had just gotten off the ride. The family was behind us, but we were like the first ones kind of off, and we were walking down the stairs, and the song was playing, and we both were like kind of dancing. And so then when I made my video of August that year, I used that song.
Yeah.
So that's why I knew it.
Yeah.
Why are you looking at me like that?
No, yeah, that's legit.
You looked at me like I had something in my face.
No,
Oh.
I did not.
Okay.
I was agreeing with you.
Oh. You looked like you were about to point something out of my teeth or something.
Yeah.
I was really confused.
No.
Okay, what's your song of the week?
My song of the week is Right on Track by the Griswolds.
Is it from Beware the Dog?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I remember that one.
Yeah. There's a coming between us.
I don't know if I remember that. Old album, though. We used to love that album. I mean, I do love that
16
album.
Years is on that album. It's one of my favorite songs of all time.
It's a good album.
It's such a good album.
I always link that and the one Small Pools album together.
Yeah, Dreaming.
Because we kind of like listened to those at the same time.
We
Killer
did.
Whales and American something.
American Love.
American Love, that's what it is.
Yeah, I mean that whole Mason Jar.
Yeah. Yep.
I'm trying to remember some of the other songs on that album, but yeah, it's so good. That album is so good. Dreaming by Small Pools, and then
Beware the Dog.
Yeah,
right?
by the Griswolds. So good.
Yeah. Those are good.
I love both those albums. They are very nostalgic because of
they're
it was
nostalgic to the time that we lived in Dexter.
Yeah. Yep.
Right before you got married.
Right before I got married. Yeah. So it's probably about
with our cousin
9
Ben.
years ago. Yeah, Ben.
He would listen to those with us a lot too.
Yeah, he did. And then Ethan was just around a lot. Sorry. We had one of those moments where one person was yawning, then the next person was yawning, and it was like a yawn battle almost.
The train.
Yeah, on Sunday morning, it was freaking hilarious. Sat around with a bunch of students, just having like a Bible study type thing, and it was like, everyone was like, stop it.
Wait, that's actually really funny.
It was great.
That
was really funny. Yeah, it makes me want to do it again right now, but I'm going to suppress it.
That's good, because I also kind of feel like I could yawn again, but I'm also going to suppress it. Yeah.
Yeah.
My song of the week is Sick Love by the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Oh, cool. Man, the Red Hots.
I love that song.
It's been a minute since I've listened to the
one?
Red Hots. I've probably heard it, but it doesn't come to mind right now.
I feel like you'd love it. That and Dark Necessities, I think, are from the same album. and it's called The Getaway, and
Yep.
it's a great album.
The Getaway.
Oh wait, yeah, they're both on that.
What does the album cover look like?
It's a girl walking with a bear and a raccoon.
Ooh, wait, I don't think I know that album. Is it newer?
2016. I only know a couple of the songs from it.
Yeah, I kind of went through a phase where I was listening to the Red Hot Chili Peppers really intensely.
Yeah.
In like 2000.
Early, because
maybe like 10 or 11.
Yeah.
2010, 2011.
We used to watch the music video for, what is it, Can't Stop
is a great
all
music
the
video.
time.
Yeah. Yeah, Anthony Kiedis.
Speaking of so random.
And Flea. What? Go ahead.
Oh, wait. Am I about to mix this up? Chad Smith. Who's he the drummer for? The guy that looks like Will Ferrell.
Yeah.
Isn't that Red Hot Chili Peppers?
I'm pretty sure, yes.
Yeah, okay. He was at the Lions game.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
I saw a picture of him. And I was like, Will Ferrell? And then I was like, wait, no. Chad Smith.
No, I think
his name is Chad Smith, right?
Yeah, because is it 3 of them or is it 4 of them? I think it's 4 of them. But
yeah.
Flea is their bassist?
Yeah, Flea is in Babylon and other movies I've seen.
Oh, that movie that you've mentioned before?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, I was hold up. I know you. And then I looked it up and it's Flea. He's in a couple other movies now.
Anthony Kiedis is like the lead singer.
Mm.
And
yeah, I don't really know anything about him.
In and out of like, just like if you look up a story, you know, like you learn in 8 seconds on Wikipedia. So how accurate? Don't know. Does this define him as a person? Absolutely not. Just in and out of like drug battles and things like that in his lifetime. So, but
their music videos are pretty whack.
Yeah, which is kind of where I was going with that.
Yeah,
it's like some of their music videos are
in that like little
pretty
worm
bizarre
tube thing, and like I don't know,
yes.
It's just a crazy music video.
But like while
the
being
one for Sick
crazy,
Love is also weird.
Okay.
It's probably weirder than that. In like a I don't know about this kind
while
of way.
Being super odd and off the wall like that, they're also so creative.
Yeah, that's very true.
Like entertaining, creative. So it's actually pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my song of the week. I was listening to my summer playlist from like a couple of years ago in the car the other day to combat the fact that it's like 1 degree outside.
Uh-huh.
And I was just like, I can't take it. I have to feel the warmth of at least the music. So I was listening to my summer playlist, and that song is in one of them. So then I was like, that's my song of the week.
Nice.
Because I've listened to it a couple times. So
that's fire.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like there's many songs of theirs that are timeless classic type songs.
So many good songs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sick Love is one that Sadie really got me into. My friend
nice.
Sadie. So it also kind of reminds me of her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is random, but kind of just like a talking point. Have you ever... I remember Under the Bridge by Red Hot Chili Peppers was kind of the first... It was almost like one of my first experiences with this. But I was very bothered as a child, and even into like young adulthood. I was very, very bothered by whenever there was a song that had a title, but then the song didn't have that lyric in the song. So like...
I don't think
I would just be so miffed. Where are these lyrics in the song? Why does it have this title? Basically, like I'd just be so upset.
Yeah.
I remember feeling that way about Under the Bridge because there aren't, to my knowledge or to my memory, maybe I got this totally wrong, but to my memory, the words Under the Bridge aren't in the song Under the Bridge.
Let's look it up.
And I just remember as a kid or like a young adult or whatever it was, just being like, why would you name the song? Obviously, as I've gotten older, I realize it doesn't really matter. It just was in my brain, in my mind.
They do say it, but it must be like kind of more of like a background vocal type thing.
Oh, really?
Because it's in parentheses. It says Under the Bridge Downtown. It's towards the end of the song. I can't even think of what it sounds like.
Yeah, play it. Skip to that part.
Oh, that's what they're saying. I've never known.
Wait, I've never known either. Wait. Wow, I definitely never realized that those were like intelligible words.
Could probably do a whole episode on song lyrics that I thought were one thing and learned were another.
It's like one of those things no one wants to admit. I feel like no one wants to admit that it's true, but then like, you know what I mean? Because it makes you feel a little silly. But
remember the one in is it Celebration? Wait, no. Wait, YMCA maybe, where it's like instead of the "What's your pleasure?"
Yeah, what's the weather?
Yeah, I always used to say that, and you and Dad would always laugh at me and correct me, and eventually I just knew that it was wrong, but I was like, I don't care because it's fun.
Yeah, I remember that being a big thing in like our house because of that. What's the weather?
Yeah. And then there's like,
it's funny.
There's that one worship song, right? It's like endlessly.
All you'll ever need, but when they sing it, it sounds like
something else.
Are you Lebanese?
But there's a different one where it's like something and Leslie.
Oh yeah,
but it's endlessly.
I love you endlessly, but it sounds like it's saying I love you and Leslie. Yeah, it's just like there's certain moments where lyrics be sounding way different than what they really are.
Oh yeah, and then sometimes there's lyrics that I'm like, I wish you sounded like something else so that I could sing this song and it wouldn't be as bad.
Oh.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like the lyrics are bad or something?
Yeah, and I'm like, I wish you weren't that so that I would more appropriately be able to enjoy this song.
Fair.
Like there's a couple songs that I would love to play at our wedding. But I'm like, but I just can't.
Just do it.
No, but there's little kids around and I feel like it would just be awkward to be like belting some really weird lyrics and there's like tons of adults. It's
only awkward if you make it awkward, you know?
And I probably would because I would feel uncomfy because it's just funny. Like,
that's funny.
Well, I'll just avoid that stuff.
Yeah. This is a different episode of the podcast. We should talk about what do you do when you feel like awkward. I think it'd be a hilarious topic of conversation.
I know what
because
I do.
I know a couple of things that I do, and it's less about awkward and more about just like if I'm doing something that I know like someone else might not approve of, or they just might have some opinion that's different. Like I know some of the things that I do, especially like Kiana has told me like, no, you always do this when this, and I'm always like, no way, I do. And then like I've been in the middle of doing it and been like, oh my gosh, you were right.
Like, I did that thing.
Yeah. So
yeah,
we should have a time where we're talking.
We should awkward situations, but also I feel like I'd have to like censor it because there's just certain things that I like won't say on the podcast.
Yeah, we just don't have to include those things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Like it'd have to like.
Sure.
I feel like if we didn't care about any people, we could say so many more things than we actually say, but we care. Like I just feel like there's like stories that I will never tell publicly because I care too much about the people involved.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
But like if I didn't care, we would have some hilarious stories. But I feel like you watch those podcasts or those TikToks where people just air out things about other people. And I'm like, this is a crazy story. But then I think about like telling those kinds of stories and I'm like, dang, like you just put all those people on blast.
Yeah,
like,
a little bit.
You're ruining relationships. Like that's crazy.
Yeah, I can't think of any stories. I guess like I just don't really listen to anybody that's telling those crazy of stories. I
mean, I can think of one of your stories that we'll never tell, but.
Is like Florida?
Well, that's another one, but but no, that's not what I was thinking of.
Gotcha. Yeah, there are a couple stories I can't tell.
Everybody has a couple stories they can't tell like that.
Yeah, I think so. Just,
and that's okay.
Yeah, like I wouldn't mind telling them, but yeah, there's just other. Yeah.
There's things that don't involve directly me that I'm not going to put on blast for other people.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. All right, well.
Yeah. Anyway, our whole topic today has nothing to do with really what we're talking about.
Not at all.
It does have to do with stories, I guess. So maybe it does a little bit. But we're always pretty much talking about stories. So, But we really wanted to just, I kind of felt like it'd be cool to just talk about our family and like our extended family because we lost our grandpa last year.
It was 2 summers ago. So it was like a year and a half ago.
2023.
Yep, summer of 23.
As well as our cousin Erica. And then like our great grandpa as well on our dad's side.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And also maybe our great grandma in the same year.
Great grandma was like a year or two before, but or maybe even more than a year or two.
Granny.
Oh, she was probably 2022 if I had to guess.
No.
Just trying to remember, but
okay. Anyway.
Yeah.
We've lost kind of a lot of people in the last couple of years.
Yeah, a lot of like grandparents and great grandparents just getting older and
Yeah. And I think, I don't know, lately I feel like I've been thinking a lot about just the reality of like growing up and the people around you getting older. And obviously, I guess it's not obvious. We believe very differently, I think, about aging and getting older and stuff like that. I don't believe it's within God's design for people to decay the way that we do and to decline in health as you get older and stuff like that. I think we're designed to be like youthful and young.
Isaiah 65.
Until the day Jesus comes back. But
yeah, Isaiah 65, there's a prophecy, or just in general, like that people that live to be 100 would be considered young.
Yeah.
You know?
And I don't see any reason why that shouldn't apply to today.
Think that's the original design.
There's a lot to unpack there that I really don't even think. I mean, I definitely don't have all of the knowledge to totally unpack on a podcast episode, but at least not right now. And I'm always want to be learning more about it. But I think we believe differently about it, but also just like our approach to life and things like that. A lot of it has come from our family, and we have just we've talked about it in other episodes too, but we have incredible extended family and just like the legacy that our grandparents have created and our aunts and uncles. Like there's so much creativity, there's so much joy and art, as well as like hard moments. It's not like our family's just perfect or anything like that, but we grew up just with such fun stories, and we were just in Wisconsin. We just saw our grandma and stuff like that. And so I just thought it would be cool to kind of talk about and just share some of those things and like honoring all those people that have shaped a lot of our lives and who we are as individuals, our parents. Yeah. Now, like you having kids and me about to get married, the things that like we choose to do and how we choose to live life, I feel like comes from a lot of that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, when we were just there, I think in general, like, you know, think about some of our family in Wisconsin. Obviously, like such a big part of life with them and their lives seem like on a daily basis, especially for grandma and grandpa, just part of their marriage and connection. And obviously, I don't know all the details of it, but I know grandpa, when he was young, he wasn't saved. And so I think a lot of how he interacted with both grandma and his kids was very vastly different than where he was at spiritually, like being saved and loving the Lord and embracing, you know, just a lifestyle of like serving the Lord. And
by the time that we would have
we were like born and being raised and stuff. So obviously some of that's really different, but as far as what we experienced and what we knew and what he and grandma really became known for really revolved around a lot of joy and laughter. And for us, the biggest thing that we got to experience with them and knew that they did together was just play games, you know? And like, I think for me, like we've referenced it on the podcast. Like, I think playing games is like one of the things that I attempt to do more than anything else in life. Like, it is one of the things that it's one of the things that garners the most attention in my own thoughts and in what I try to plan and make time for. Yeah. Even when I watch TV, I love watching TV of people playing games, like a reality competition.
Even when you're not in the game, you like playing or you like watching it.
Yeah, I think just in general, like, games are they are the best. I don't know. So
well, I just think like there's an innate desire in all of us from the Lord to enjoy life. Like whether or not it's something that's really on the surface for you as a person or whether it's something that's maybe been a little bit buried because of your experience, like I think everybody has been designed to enjoy life. And like one of the best ways to enjoy life is to like have fun with the people that you love. Yeah. Which is something that is easily done playing games, unless you're really insecure or really prideful and you're just like a jerk about games or something like that. But in general, like it's a fun experience most of the time. Right. And or at least it's designed to be a fun experience. And like just a different part of people comes out when you play games. You like loosen up, you get goofy,
Yeah,
like
very much so.
you bond with people and you make connections. That's why like when you as much as sometimes I hate these kinds of games, like when you start in a new group or you're like at a new job and there's like, you know, the like icebreaker games or whatever, like it helps you know people and like know how they interact and how they talk and stuff like that. And so it's like
you also typically see people like when you play games with people, you see them typically when they have the least like quote unquote like walls up. Yeah. Or like they have like the least like they're like the least defensive just in general.
Right, yeah, because it's like, oh, it's just a game.
Yeah, and I think like ultimately you get versions of people that are closest to their true selves, like who they really are. And
yeah, that's true.
So yeah, it's with our family and grandparents, like Yahtzee was just such a big deal.
Nobbling.
Yeah, in Yahtzee specifically, right? Like
Yahtzee specifically.
Okay, if you play Yahtzee and it's just one column, so it's like you take, what is it, maybe 15 or 16 turns or something like that total in one game of Yahtzee. Let me tell you, you're not playing wrong because technically that's the original game, but you're playing a massively inferior version of Yahtzee. Take that Yahtzee sheet. It's got quote unquote 6 games on there, right? It's like you play a game in each column. No, that whole piece of paper is one game of Yahtzee. And the furthest right column is times 6, and then you work your way backwards. That's one game of Yahtzee for our family, and it takes a little bit.
You get
of time.
The chips out.
Oh yeah, you break out multiple.
Everybody's at the table for a long time.
Multiple sets of dice, so you can take your turn, write down whatever score you got for that turn, and pass them on, and they're just going in a circle round and round.
And you just like sit around and talk and hang out. It's just such a I think.
I learned quick maths.
Oh yeah, and it's maths. Like good for your brain.
Oh, it's so good for your brain.
Like it's educational and you're learning, and
very
especially
much
for kids. Like I don't know. I just think
also learned the value of like. It's for me. I learned the value of like being honest and telling the truth while playing games.
Why? Because you could have cheated.
We're just playing games with like grandma and grandpa. Like, you know, you're a little kid and you don't know the value of that yet. I think every little kid goes through this thing when they play games and you realize like, oh wait, I could just pretend like I got a certain score that's better or whatever.
Yeah, right.
And I remember, you know, just watching grandma and grandpa both taking their turns in Yahtzee, and they're not embellishing their scores. If they lose, they lose. If they win, they win. If they break a record for most number of Yahtzees in a game, they write that junk down. They write the date down, all that stuff. Yeah. If they don't, they don't. Like, it just is what it is. You're just having fun with your family.
Yeah. I think that's a big thing is like,
yeah.
To me, I'm like, it's not that big a deal. Like, it doesn't.
Right.
Like, it's just a game.
Right.
But also, I know it's funny. It's almost like it's not like playing games is like the end all be all of our lives, but it's like it's just a game. Bit. It's not that big of a deal. But also I'm like, oh, it's just like it is a game, and like I hold value for that. Yeah, for some reason, you know what I mean? So. Like it's interesting that it's kind of both at the same time.
Yeah,
but it's like I get not that important, but at the same time, I'm like, but it also is really important to us.
Yeah, like if there were one thing, you know, like from an activity perspective that you were like, all right, like one thing that you won't give up the rest of your life, is it like watching TV or is it playing games or is it this or that? Like as much as I love my movies and TV and as much as I love music or this or that, like, sorry, it's an easy decision for me. I am not giving up games, period. Point blank. I never could. I
think that's
never
where
will.
we differ, but that's okay.
Yeah, that's fair. But I just can't do it.
Yeah.
I can't do it.
Yeah. But yeah, I think like our family does a really good job of being really joyful. Like that's just something always as a kid that like, I don't know. I feel like it was never a dull moment when we were in Wisconsin visiting family. I think the thing that's been hard growing up though is realizing, especially when I lived there and then being here even now older, and our grandpa has passed away and our grandma's like quite older than it feels like she was not that long ago. Like there is a reality that kind of has hit of, oh, like maybe this was like this because we were visiting and we were in town. but like maybe it wasn't everybody's day to day. But in my head growing up, everybody's day to day was like that. Just because when we came to town, it was that was always sort of what was going on. It's just like everybody's together, everybody's playing games, everybody's hanging out. And
right. Like they all got things they're doing.
Right, yeah, like everybody does have jobs and lives
or going
and stuff.
to school or whatever. Yeah. We'd come to town and people would make time to take a day off of work or get together on the Friday or the Saturday or the Sunday that we were in town. So it's like, to us, it always felt like this just must be what life in Wisconsin is like for all this side of the family, is just getting together every day or
and having fun
once a week and like playing games morning till night and having big family dinners. And with the whole extended family, obviously growing up and realizing it wasn't quite that. Not that there was a lack of those things, but just like, it isn't reality to like do that all day, every day.
Yeah.
So it is interesting.
Yeah. But it's funny because it doesn't feel any less like it makes the stuff not as real.
No, not at all.
It still feels very much like, oh yeah, that's like a real thing that all those people are good at.
Yeah. Well, I think the other thing too is like, even we get a little bit older, we start going to Wisconsin, like once a year or whatever. And I remember just like, even the concept of, because when we were really, really young, like I felt like Uncle Noah was there like all day, every day when we would come to town. But then we got a little bit older and like he's working or, he's a musician. He'll travel and do shows or whatever sometimes over the years. And so he'd be traveling, a couple hours away doing a show. But he'd always be like, yo, I'll be back in the afternoon or I'll be back tonight. And it was like, even though we maybe didn't see people during the day, like by the time it got to nighttime, we're playing games and sitting around eating dinner, hanging out, whatever. So I just think like there's so many memories for that whole side of the family. That are just built around like quality time, I think is what it really boils down to, like people are intentional on that side of the family for quality time. Yeah, do you remember when grandma and grandpa, I don't remember what mom and dad were doing, but they were gone for like a week or whatever?
They came over Valentine's Day.
Yeah, mom and dad maybe took like a vacation, just the two of them. And the Winter Olympics were going, and grandma and grandpa came to Michigan and stayed. And basically just stayed with us and took us to school in the morning. I just
totally forgot about that until this moment. Yeah.
It was fun. I just remember us watching. Yeah. I mean, that was like the height of the Shaun White years, where he was just ripping up the half pipe and snowboarding and winning gold medals and just throwing the craziest tricks out there, and sitting next to grandma and grandpa, who is like, they don't have any clue about snowboarding, and really neither do we as kids.
Right, yeah.
But like all of us just sitting there just being like, no way, let's go. That was crazy, Yeah. Yeah, that was wild. That was a lot of fun.
I also really remember watching a lot of the ice skating.
Yeah.
And like grandpa's commentary would always be really funny on the ice skaters.
Yeah.
Especially the male ice skaters. But I also remember that, like, because this was the thing that we would always do when we went to grandma and grandpa's, was like, at least that I remember, is that grandma would always take us to the store and we would always get to pick something out. Like, we'd always get to pick out like a little toy or something like that when we went to visit them.
Yeah.
And I remember when they came to us that time, I think we went to the store with them, and I remember, I think we both picked out like a Ben and Jerry's ice cream pint. And I had a chocolate, or it was like brownie cheesecake. And I remember I was eating that thing like the whole week they were there. Like, I would just get like little spoonfuls here and there.
That's
in
crazy.
The middle of like watching the Olympics.
I can't do that.
Can't do what?
If I sit down with ice cream, I can't just do one bite. I can't.
Well, I'm sure I didn't do one bite, but like it's a whole pint, and I was probably like 10.
A pint is not that much.
Maybe I was more
I
than
would
10.
Easily, even still right now, if I'm sitting down with ice cream and someone hands me a pint, I'm absolutely finishing that pint right then and there.
The whole thing? It's like 4 servings of ice cream.
It does not matter. Ice cream is so good, and a pint is not that much.
Okay. Well, anyway. You threw me off.
Yeah, that's pretty cool though. Yeah.
Yeah, I just like things like that they would do. And I remember that one time driving to our cousin Ben's house, and from Grandma and Grandpa's, and like you and I were in the car behind Grandpa, and Grandpa was driving one car and you and I were driving your car.
Yeah.
Or at the time it might have been like Mom's car. And I just remember both of us, like Grandpa pulling some crazy driving decisions and both of us being like, we're gonna die following Grandpa. Like just running like stop signs or red lights.
He was an aggressive driver, I feel like.
He was or wasn't?
I feel like he was, yeah.
I think he was too. I think he was a scary driver eventually.
I do feel like I've heard multiple of the family members talk about that before as well.
Yeah, like I think a little bit once he got older, he was a little bit scarier of a
Yeah,
driver.
yeah. I'm sure he was capable his whole life, and I mean, I'm sure he was fine. Man, Mom's got some crazy stories.
She does have some crazy stories, like the one where she got her car stuck in a ditch with all her friends in the car, and Grandpa came and made her like pull the car out of the ditch and change the tire herself in the rain while all her friends are in the car watching her. Could you imagine? Or like she talks about having to mow the lawn when they lived like on Main Street in downtown Burlington. And so like her friends would drive by and see her mowing the lawn, and the lawnmower was a push mower that didn't have the top handle, so she had to bend down and from like halfway push and mow the entire lawn with all her friends driving by. Like I feel like if they tried to do something like that to us, we would have literally, which this is a luxury, I guess, but we would have been like, no way.
That's so funny.
And they would just be like, oh, it'll build your character, which it did. Mom's got character, so.
Yeah.
She definitely had it built.
That's so freaking funny.
Yeah. Just like funny things like that. I mean, those ones almost make him sound bad, but no, he was just like, no, you're going to learn how to do this and figure it out, which is, I think, a great quality to have. So.
Grandpa used to always say, for Pete's sakes, but then he would also say to be silly for Pete's snakes.
Didn't you get in trouble one time at school? So
yeah, I was in 3rd grade, I think. And I don't remember the context of how I used it, but I'm pretty sure I was just using it the same way he would when it was like a phrase of like surprise, or maybe a phrase of like annoyance, or maybe a little bit of disgust, like for Pete's snakes, you know, like
like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, exactly. Like, come on, for Pete's snakes, you know? And so I just remember I used that phrase in, I think it was 3rd grade, 'cause I feel like I remember the teacher that got upset about it, but I was sent to the principal's office as if I had said something that was so egregious that I needed to be punished.
Egregious.
Like, what the frick? For Pete's snakes.
Like, what were they going to do?
No, literally, like, did you say Pete's snakes? Yeah. Detention. Like, I don't know. Yeah.
What if Pete had a pet snake? That's what you were talking about.
Yeah. And we were talking about the food. So it's like, oh, yeah, that food, it's for Pete's snakes.
Don't touch it. For Pete's snakes.
It's for Pete's snakes.
Oh,
yeah,
my gosh,
but it was just.
I don't know.
Yeah.
That's goofy.
I think that's, I don't know.
He has so many phrases.
Yeah.
So many phrases.
I feel also, like a lot of them have to do with playing games.
Yeah, I shouldn't tell that one, but I just remember going to the mall with him one time, you and me.
Okay.
And our Aunt Mickey and Uncle Noah and Grandma, and it was in Madison. And it was the one time we went out. Remember, like, we went out a week before Mom and Dad?
Yeah.
Just the two of us.
It was right after I graduated high school.
Yeah. Because you drove us out there in the Blueberry.
Wow, that's crazy. Me and you, just ourselves.
Yeah, we went for
all the way to Wisconsin, yeah?
Yeah, but I mean, we would stay by ourselves for like a week.
Yeah.
Once you got into high school, we were fine.
Yeah, it's just wild.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our parents really trusted us.
No, they really did.
I feel like really we did for the most part, we did a pretty good job with that trust.
There's a few things that, there's a few things, though, that Mom and Dad let us do that I'm like, I don't know if I let my kids do that. But that's okay.
Yeah.
That's all right. Yeah.
But, like, I also really appreciate it because, like, they just weren't fearful about us.
No, agreed.
And most of the time it worked out.
Yeah.
And if it didn't work out, then we worked it out ourselves now as adults.
Made
so
mistakes
it's fine.
and then we just been forgiven and learned.
You gotta have some room to make some bad decisions so that you can learn things. But
yeah, that's accurate. So anyways,
I remember we drove out a week early, and then we went to the mall with those 4. And I just remember, I won't say exactly what Grandpa said, but he was talking about a very specific people group who decide to like another gender. And he goes, oh, you better watch out for those blank. really loud in the mall. And I just remember you and I being like, Grandpa, like, you can't say that.
Yeah.
And all of us being like shocked. And then, our grandma being like, don't say that. Like, are you serious right now? But yeah, he just was like, and it's not even like he was prejudiced really against anybody. Nope. He just did not have a filter.
No, he just used, like, I think, like, the words that he used to describe the things that he was seeing or experiencing were, there was no concept of like, well, this is a shameful thing to say about them or to say to them. So because of that, it was like, well, I can say whatever words come to my mind right now because it's not a big deal.
Yeah. Like, I don't think he ever meant anything by it.
No, none. Yeah,
and
nothing.
Like, he wasn't thinking like, oh, I hope they hear me say this. He was just like, other than actually the one time, so remember in their one house, they found out that there was
I was about to tell this story.
Sex offender in the neighborhood.
Sorry.
This is a hilarious story, but also kind of sad. But they found out, they moved into this new neighborhood. They found out there was a sex offender like on one of the houses near them.
Yeah, just
and my
within
grandpa,
a certain number of square feet or square miles, whatever. Yeah. Yep.
My grandpa, not knowing, was talking to their neighbor. And what did Beth say that he said? He said, oh, yeah, that guy better watch out. If he comes near any of my grandkids, I'm going to cut off his...
Yeah, I think it was like, I'm basically going to cut off his willy or cut off his
something like that.
Or something. Yeah.
And then later to find out he was talking to that guy.
That guy was the sex offender.
Which he didn't... It wasn't even like he actually did something. It was like... I don't know, he had like a relationship with a minor or something.
Like when he was
he was like 18 or something.
Yeah, it was like,
Which
it was like,
obviously is still not good, but it wasn't like
correct.
He did something more illegal or more like intentionally harmful.
It was, anyways.
Anyway,
he
but
didn't realize,
hilarious. He didn't realize he was talking to him, and then that guy was probably scared out of his mind after that.
He also was probably just like, yeah, maybe in some way probably felt like
like they shared a driveway.
Yeah, like actually though.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And we like, I mean, I feel like in Grandpa's position on that, I probably would have said something too because, yeah, he had grandkids, young girls, young adult girls, like they have tons. We have so many cousins.
Yeah.
And I would be like, they better watch out because if they come anywhere near, like,
100%. 100%.
Got another thing coming.
Yeah. We took a trip to Disney World when we were like how old?
Oh, 2008. Yeah, I would have been 9. I would have been about to be 9.
I think I was 13. Yeah.
So I was 8.
Yeah. So, yeah, we did that. That was super fun. There was like, 30 of us? 35 of us? Something like that?
I think it was like 35.
Yeah, 35 family members because our mom is one of 6. So we have a bunch of aunts and uncles, a bunch of cousins.
She's kind of in the middle, too.
Yeah, and that trip was a blast.
So much fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just like going on all these rides with our aunts and uncles, or like for you, I think you were at the age where they just kind of let the older cousins go do their own thing for a while, which was super cool.
Give us that freedom.
We were just talking about that trip because I remember there was a time where it was like the extra magic hours. You could be in Magic Kingdom really late, and all of the older cousins were off doing something. My mom and Aunt Beth were off doing something because I think our Uncle Dan was staying in the room with because they only had two of our cousins at the time, and they were pretty little. And Dad and I went around Magic Kingdom by ourselves, like just the two of us, while you guys were all doing things. And I remember it was when I was still really scared of roller coasters. And he took me on Space Mountain, which this is another thing that like our grandparents would do and our parents did, where it was like you're not going to not ride the ride.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you will get on it,
mm-hmm.
which I do think I got out of a few, because I remember that year that we went, I didn't ride Expedition Everest. I like went with you guys in the line. No, it was.
Are you sure?
Yeah. When we went, just our family, it was being built. When we went with the whole family, it was built, because I remember I went and waited at the exit while you guys all went on it. And same thing with Rock and Roller Coaster. I didn't go on that either.
Okay.
Or Tower of Terror. But I remember I went on Space Mountain and Splash Mountain. And Space Mountain, I was sobbing. And I remember, because that's the one where you sit with a person behind you.
Yeah.
Like 2 people behind you.
Yeah, but you're basically sitting by yourself.
Yeah. And like no one's directly next to you on your right or left. And I remember there was like a younger guy with Dad and I in the cart, and he was just like, "Is she okay?" And Dad was like, "Yeah, she'll be fine." I'm sitting there like sobbing. But then I got off the ride and I like thought it was fun. So
yeah.
That's always how it goes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wasn't that the trip? That was the trip that we saw all of the Disney
Nick
Channel
Jonas
celebrities.
And
Yeah.
Miley Cyrus and all of them.
For me,
you saw them. I didn't see them because I didn't go on the ride.
Nick and Kevin were in the back of the seat, and then Joe Jonas and Selena Gomez were in the fronts.
I thought Miley Cyrus was there.
No. Well, she was there, but she wasn't with them.
Oh. I wonder if there's like footage of them like in Disney World somewhere, and like
there's gotta be footage.
What if you're just like in the background?
Yeah. I mean, Joe Jonas was sitting in my freaking seat, bro. I was on the next ride, bro. I was standing right there at the gate for them to open it so I could sit down. And here comes the car, and Joe Jonas and Selena Gomez are sitting in our seats. Like,
that is kind of crazy.
It was wild. Yeah, he looked at me and said, "Sorry, man."
And you said, "It's okay, Mr. Jonas." I tip my seat to you.
I don't remember what I said. I don't even remember his exact words, but I remember the vibe of what he said was like, "Sorry about this," and I just looked at him. I was like,
he said, "It's okay. I'm going to talk about this for the rest of my life."
Yeah, it's all good, bro. It's all good.
You're giving me a talking point.
Yeah.
Party
I'm
trick.
super pissed, but I'm going to play it cool right now, But then somewhere else in the park, I think like over at Tower of Terror at the same time, were like Dylan and Cole Sprouse and...
Oh, yeah. Ashley Tisdale, maybe?
Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. No, it's wild, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we were there the same night. There was there was some like
big
cheerleader convention because there was all these teams of cheerleaders that were in line for everything, and they were just absolutely like going to town with their cheers and their chants until funny. Like midnight of the extra magic hours. I do vaguely remember that, yeah. Yeah, it was crazy.
But I remember that there was the time that we went to Disney with our Aunt Leah and Uncle Doug and Ben, when you and Kiana were dating.
Yeah, Kiana was with us. Yeah. It was right before we got engaged, like a month before we got engaged.
Oh yeah, You're right. I was about to tell you you're wrong, but you're not.
I'm not. My memory has been remade. It is being restored.
But I remember on that trip, Millie Bobby Brown was at Disney the same time as us. They were like filming something with her for Disney. Like some little like ad thing or something like that. And I remember I saw on Instagram while we were there in Magic Kingdom, like a video of her standing on the grass in front of the castle, like filming something. Not that we saw her, but I remember she was there. Also, I don't know if you're going to know who this is, but one time I was at Cedar Point with our friend Gabriella, and Noah Centineo, who he's been in a bunch of Netflix movies.
I know who he is.
Okay, yeah. He was in line. And I was like, Gabriella, it was in line for Val Raven. I was like, I'm almost positive that's Noah Centineo. But it was during COVID, and everybody at Cedar Point was wearing masks. And he had a bright neon orange child-sized crew neck sweater tied around his face instead of a mask. And like construction worker orange crew neck sweatshirt that didn't fit his body. So like it was weird. But I remember being like, I swear that's Noah Centineo. And she was like, no, it's not. And I was like, no, I'm almost positive it is. And then being the sleuth that I am, went on Instagram, and he hadn't posted anything, but he was tagged in stories and posts by friends that he was with at Cedar Point. And I was looking at it, and then I was looking at him in line, and I was like, Gabriella, I'm right. Like, that is Noah Centineo. So I saw Noah Centineo one time at Cedar Point in line for Val Raven.
That's wild.
He was definitely trying to be on the DL, but...
Yeah, which stands for down low.
Yeah, I feel like most people know that.
Nope. It's an old phrase. We got to clue them in sometimes.
Oh, okay.
This podcast is targeted at Gen Z.
Okay.
And some of the younger Gen Z might not know what
Or,
DL
you know what, they
stands.
could, like, just adapt to just good old phrases.
I agree with that, which is why we need to explain it.
Yeah.
DL, down low. I'm joking, but yeah, I think, I don't know. There was some other time I ran into somebody that was kind of like known or famous. Oh, and Kiana and I were on our honeymoon.
Oh, yeah.
We ran into 3 dudes that are from like the Bachelor
universe.
Bachelor universe, Bachelorette universe.
Bachelor in Paradise. Golden Bachelor universe.
Yeah, well, it wasn't that recent. It was
I know.
Let's see, 2017 is when we were there in the summer of 2017.
Crazy that it was 2017.
I know. Well, it was. So it was.
You've almost been married 10 years.
Yeah, what is it, 2025?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we're
8 years this year? That's crazy.
Yes.
That's so wild.
It feels like more than 8, but yeah. So
you've been together for longer than 8 years.
Yeah, almost 10. It'll be 10 in March, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah. So anyways, yeah, what were their names again?
One of them was
Tanner.
the doctor, the dentist guy.
Oh yeah. Yeah, wait, what's his name again?
I feel like wasn't one of them named
Chris?
Nick? Not Nick Vile.
No.
Tanner was definitely one of them.
It was Tanner and Jared, and they were like two pretty well-known dudes.
Yeah, they're still pretty well-known.
Yeah, and both of them ended up being in like long-haul marriage relationships from
with
The
kids.
Bachelor. Yeah, with kids. Like, and I don't keep up with it anymore.
I'm
but
pretty sure they're all still married.
Yeah,
I know Jared and what's her name?
Ashley. Yeah,
Ashley.
Yeah.
Iaconetti.
Yeah.
So random.
Well, yeah.
Anyway, I know they're still married. They have a kid.
Then Tanner and
Jade
is definitely right. Yeah.
Wow. I don't know how.
Wow,
I'm doing
that was
this.
good. That was good. So yeah, but so we're just walking. We're actually going up to the little tram to take us to the airport in where were we? We're at, what's the name of the place?
Vedanta. Same place
Thank
Kate
you.
and I are going.
Oh yeah, that's right. Let's go.
Yeah.
We're
Same
at
resort, actually.
Vedanta in Nuevo Vallarta, and it's like a few. I don't know how many miles, but it's a bit away.
It's where they filmed
It's
Bachelor
very
in Paradise.
near.
Well,
very
yeah, like
near where
they do some of
filmed
their
Bachelor in
events or
Paradise
different
back
like
in the
weddings and things at Vedanta
Yeah,
when they're filming Bachelor in Paradise.
Yeah, some of the things that
the dates they go on and stuff like that.
Yeah, like one of the dates, I don't remember from what season of Bachelor in Paradise, 'cause it had been years, but it took place
at Vedanta
in one of the spots where like Kiana and I had dinner while we were there. Yeah, but
so I bet like they all probably stay there when they're there for things that aren't filming of the show, because they were there for that wedding.
Yeah, the wedding
of the people that are now
They're
divorced.
Yeah, but So, but yeah, we were just walking up to the tram. We were leaving the breakfast places. You're walking on this like wooden like.
Isn't there a picture on your Instagram?
I don't know. I don't think
I'm almost positive there is.
No, I don't think it's on.
I'm gonna go look.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. But we're just walking, to go up. And we walked past 3 dudes, and like I happened to glance and like see their faces as we're walking by. And I think like I was processing, and I kind of like looked up at Kiana, and she was like, and I don't remember if she said it or I said it, but we were both kind of like, wait, was that? And it was like these dudes from the show.
Was that?
And so I ran back. Kiana was like, no. And I was like, nah, screw that. So I ran back. I was like, yo, you guys are from The Bachelor. Yo, can we grab a picture?
Oh, you didn't post it. Wait, did Kiana?
Perhaps. But I just know that we snapped a little selfie with them real quick. So that was cool. That was kind of fun. Because that was back in the day when like we actually watched the show every season. Me and Kiana would watch it together.
Oh,
and sometimes
we would all watch it.
Yeah, we would all watch it.
I remember coming over to your guys' house or your apartment.
Oh,
back
we were
in the
Wisconsin?
day, and we would all watch it together.
Yeah, that makes sense. That was fun.
Yeah,
good times. And then as soon
Very
as Chris
good times.
Harrison left the show, Seth left the show. You know what I'm saying? Seth was gone.
I found it. It's posted on Kiana's account.
Hey, let's go. Yeah, see, I don't know these guys' names. Did she tag them? She did. Jared, Tanner, and Chris.
You said Chris.
I did say
You're right.
Chris. I was right. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a dentist.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember. See, those were the good old days of The Bachelor to me.
Wow, him and Tanner and Jade have 3 kids now.
Good for them. That's awesome.
That is awesome.
That's great to
Let's
see
how
healthy
Jared and Ashley
relationships
are
come
doing.
out of The Bachelor.
They have 2 kids too. At least
The Bachelor shows. That's great. You
Wow.
love to see it.
Wow. Anyway, our family. I guess we can wrap up. We got distracted, which
really
is a normal
distracted
thing for our family. We go from topic to topic to like it just why.
And we're just
boom,
not
boom,
miffed
boom.
by it. It just doesn't matter. Who cares?
And if it's important, we end up circling back. So.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As we are right now.
Yeah. I don't know. That whole family in Wisconsin and just a lot of what everybody carries in their in their personalities is really founded on a lot of the stuff that like both grandma and grandpa really perpetuated, especially in the later years of their lives. I really feel like especially for all of us, like their grandkids, for all of us, like that's what like we really picked up on that stuff. Yep. I feel like I'm speaking for in this sense. I feel like I'm speaking for all of our cousins. Like we really picked up on and carry with us a lot of those characteristics from grandma and grandpa, and like just really grateful. Like they're just good people. They're fun to be around. Just
really great people.
Fun to be around. I think some of my favorite memories of being in Wisconsin are those moments where we'd be playing a game and something would get grandma cracking up so hard that she'd be kinda like this, shake. And I just remember her hands. Her hands would always be like this or whatever, and she'd do that, and she'd be just red in the face, and she barely could get a word out, and she'd try to say something and she'd go like this, and just kind of like double over again. Like it's
funny.
Incredible.
They're like opposites of each other, our grandma and grandpa, but then they like connected on so many random little things that like really brought them together. Yeah. Which is sweet.
Yeah. And one thing that was always true about them is they both just really loved the Lord, and they were
always wanting to understand him.
Not always, I mean, but in terms of always like in the years that we were around and such.
Since they were saved.
Yeah, and just that was a constant thing, is like really valuing and prioritizing a relationship with God. And I can't tell you how many times I remember, especially at like that one house that they lived in for the majority of our life, like when we were young. But I'd walk into a living room and like Grandpa would have his Bible out. He'd have turned the TV off, or he wasn't ready to turn on the Cubs game yet for the day or whatever, and he'd have his Bible out and he'd be reading or whatever. And so I mean, I just remember that stuff all the time. We'd go to Wisconsin. My mom, my grandma would sit at this little table they had next to a window, and they would have conversations about the Lord and just about things that they were learning about God. Yeah. And they'd sit there for hours. I felt like every day that we were in Wisconsin was there. The morning was Grandma would make breakfast, pancakes or something. By the way, phenomenal.
Crispiest edges out there.
The crispiest edges and just the softest,
so good,
like doughy center. Oh so my gosh, her pancakes were phenomenal. So my goodness. And her bacon. Okay, bro. It's just like so good.
She is a great
so
cook.
Good at breakfast foods, which also makes sense because then our mom has always been really good at making breakfast foods our whole life. But yeah, Grandma would make breakfast, or she'd pour us a bunch of cereal or whatever, and then her and Mom would sit down. For Grandma, that's her daughter is home for how many days a year from Michigan, so they just sit there and talk about the Lord. And I remember sometimes thinking like, this is boring. I can't wait to start playing a game. But then other times just sitting there and be like, wow, that's a really good conversation. I'm learning a lot. Yeah.
Right.
So
I think too, like one thing that I've noticed that I think a little bit, I'm not going to go too deep into this, because if I do, I'll just like start crying. But, but I think one thing, I can't even like say the words without starting to cry. One thing I have always realized that I took for granted a little bit with Grandpa, and I have like endeavored to not do the same thing with Grandma in the last couple of years, is Grandpa, when I lived in Wisconsin especially, Grandpa would always ask me like, how's your mom and dad doing? How are Seth and Kiana doing? How are you doing? Like always asking me how everybody was, what people were up to. And now I genuinely like have to fight being mad at myself about this, but it's okay. But like I would always kind of be like, oh yeah, they're good. Like, and not really give him much or like really give him much of my time. Like I think I would get distracted with like whatever else I was wanting to do in that moment and kind of feel like, okay, yeah, like, okay, grandpa, like, yeah. And now looking back, I'm like, wow, like, I knew, I don't want to get all sad, but now I'm like looking back, just like, wow, he really loves people really well, or he did. I mean, he still does, but I love people really well. And like all the things he would do for Uncle Noah with like his little videos he would make and the like roles that he would play and just the ridiculous things that they could get him to do. And like,
we should actually, I don't know if it's a copyright thing. I mean, Noah is the one whose music it is, but we should like just straight up
could at least just like share links or something to them.
Yeah, we should. Even like Noah's Brussels sprout shout as a kid's artist and like that song, and then Grandpa's in the music video, just hilarious. Yeah. And Grandma's in the music video too.
Yeah, it's like they just never were. I don't know. They didn't say like no to things like that.
Yeah, they were. The way that they were like down for anything that involved connecting and loving on their family members, and I think that's something that like, I think we feel really passionate about being the same way.
Yeah. That's something I think I've thought about a lot the last couple of years. Yeah. Especially is like, he even just like Mom would come out with a new song in the time now that she's been like releasing music. Yeah. And Grandpa would want to just sit down and hear the whole album. Even though it's like he would make a funny comment and be like, oh, like doesn't really sound like my type of music. But like he still just was like, I want to hear what you made. And like I love what my kids are doing. Or he would ask me about school in California when I was out there, and I would come back and see them and stuff like that. And just like asking us about the church or just like the different things we were doing. Like he was always interested in the people's lives around him. He wasn't asking because like he knew he should ask as my grandpa or as their dad. He was asking because he actually cared. And same as our grandma. Like grandma used to always write me letters. And her and I would write letters back and forth, and it would just be like asking me about little things about school or this or that or whatever. Yeah. And then like now watching like our Uncle Noah very much is that way, like to where it's like if you want to do something, like he'll say yes. Like as a kid, like I would always put on the little like dance routines. Like him and I would come up and choreograph a whole routine and then perform it for the family. Like that's crazy. And he would do it every time we saw them. Yeah. Like even a lot of times he would bring it up and like really want to make something really cool with me or whatever. And just like they always ask me about the stuff that I'm creating or like how things are going or whatever. And our mom is the same way. Like even planning my wedding with our mom, it's like, what do you want? Like, I'll make it happen. Like, what do you want it to look like? How do you want it to feel? And just giving all of the like input that I wouldn't think of and stuff like that. And like, I just want to be like that as a person for other people. And then especially like for my family as I become a parent someday and stuff like that. Like, I want to be the person that feels like anybody who's encountering me knows that I'm going to help them with what they're asking. Yeah. Not in a way where I'm like breaking my back and like the rest of my life's falling apart because I'm saying yes to everything in like an unhealthy way or anything. Yeah, right. But just like, I don't know. Just, like you said, really caring about people. Yeah. And that's something that they always really modeled to us, I think. Yeah. I mean, I think I can see it in, all 6 of their kids. Yeah. And I think like we kind of naturally had closer relationships with, because Mom was the 4th, and then the 5th kid was Noah, and then the 6th kid was Bethy. So Uncle Noah and Aunt Beth, we naturally have maybe closer relationships with them because they were younger and like closer to like Mom's age or like they were whatever. But we still have close relationships with all of them. Yeah, I would say like, and even when I think of Uncle Eric, when I think of Aunt Leah, when I think of Uncle Doug or Uncle Greg. Sorry, I said Aunt Leah right before it. When I think of Eric, Leah, Greg, I see in them those same characteristics of like caring and loving people really well. And so you just see kind of like the legacy of Yeah.
Of, you know, even to that point, years of grandpa and or grandma maybe not knowing the Lord or maybe not walking all these things out, but just seeing like how beautiful the love of God is. Mm-hmm. And when they embraced and encountered the love of Christ and the way that radically changed their lives, and now an entire generation of their grandkids, all of us and our cousins, and what we've known of them and seen of them for years and years and years and years has been filled with love and joy and laughter and genuine connection and quality time and prioritizing those things. And I think it's a beautiful legacy, and I think it's inspiring. Mm-hmm. And you know, for people that maybe haven't experienced it, like I think in some ways, and I don't know because I don't know all the nitty-gritty details, but I think in some ways both our grandpa and our grandma didn't necessarily experience that type of stuff in their households as children. It seemed like. Yeah. And no disrespect to kind of like those ancestors of our family, but they got some crazy stories and whatnot. And I think the further back generations you go, it's a little bit more common maybe to find those types of family situations that weren't quite that way. Yeah. But as encouragement to anybody, you know, it's like you can be similar to what our grandma and grandpa have been, of like embracing the love of Jesus and beginning to really shift the culture in the next generation and the next one, you know, and then that having knock-on effects for generations. I mean, it really can, like, that really can happen. Yeah. And you can take like a family lineage of one from misery or heartache or abuse or pain, and it really can be completely rerouted to one of joy, laughter, connection, and beauty. Yeah. Through the love of Jesus, you know.
For sure.
So. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That is very true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Amen. We have a great family.
A great family. A lot of gratefulness.
Super blessed.
So blessed. It's crazy. Yeah. Well, this was fun.
Yeah. It was.
I mean, there's so much. There's like 1,001 more stories that we could tell.
And there's so much family we didn't even really talk about too. That just like I have so many memories with, and our whole dad's side of the family too. It's like there's so many wonderful people.
Yeah, there really
could go
are.
on endlessly, honestly.
Yeah, and there's even so many stories of all the different joyful moments or funny moments or stuff that we weren't even necessarily a part of, but just like our family's also just, they're all storytellers. Like Grandpa was such a storyteller.
Yeah. That's where we get it for sure.
And it's like everybody. I mean, like I've heard Greg tell stories, hilarious. I've heard Leah tell stories, hilarious. I've heard Eric tell stories, funny as frick. I've heard Mom, Noah, and Beth tell stories. It's just like, I think that's the other thing too.
It's
in like
the DNA somehow. I don't know why, but it is.
But I just think like even that, like we should really, to be honest with you, we should have a podcast, like bring Mom on and just have her tell some of the most ridiculous stories you've ever heard. Yeah. Or have, do a podcast episode with Noah or with Beth or Uncle Eric.
I would love that.
Yeah, no, like we should have an episode with every Greg. I didn't want to think of it. Yeah. But like we should have an episode with literally every single one of them at some point. It would be so fun.
I would love that.
Yeah, it'd be so good. And just hear the stories would be amazing. Yeah. Yeah. Legendary family, legendary stuff that's happened, and funny moments. So yeah. It's been fun.
It has.
Yeah. Well,
we will see you guys
for the next episode.
Sunday. Like, follow, subscribe.
Do those things. But if you don't, we still love you. Yeah.
We'll still be here.
Anyway, it is what it is. We just have fun.
Right.
Okay, bye. Bye.